To start off, everybody, I apologize. I was not expecting all this color to be so bold. So, if any of you lost your eyesight, may want to pause the video and dim the screen. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hello out there in Booktube-land. I think that's going to be my official call to start of each video. A little nod to the character Ed Norton on The Honeymooners. He's like, hello out there in television land. So, there you go. I think I'm going to make that a regular thing here. Alrighty. Well, it is Tuesday morning. It's my day off, and so I have time to make videos. Enjoy my little cup of coffee. Which, quick shout out and a free plug. Dunkin' Donuts. They have the apple cider donut flavored coffee now. I'm a sucker for apple cider donuts, and if you live up here in like the Atlantic region in New England, nothing better than apple cider donuts from like a nice farm in the fall season. Yeah. I must say, it actually was quite surprising. I wasn't expecting the flavor to be as tasty as it was. Yeah, quite nice. Cheers. Anyway, let's get right into it, folks. Happy summer of sport. We're almost near the end. Let's right into this here. A little book I just finished, The Natural by Bernard Malamud. This is the first time I ever read this one. I had only been familiar with the movie that starred Robert Redford. It came out in the 1980s. Like Robert Redford, Glenn Close. There's a lot of people in that movie. So yeah, so I figured this is the season, summer of sports, and I knew this book had always been in the back of my mind. So I finally got around to it. First of all, I say right off the bat, quite enjoyed this very much. It was certainly a lot different from the movie, which I don't know if anyone's formally said this out loud, but I think that's intentional. You make the movie and the books different. That way, people know the ending. They may be less inclined to check out the other medium. So yeah, very different. It was a good end to the summer. Let's get right into it. As you see in the thumbnail video, this book, or at least the beginning of this book, was inspired by a true crime event. Now, it's worth saying right at the top, based on true crime, you may consider like a spoiler. I really don't at all, because the true crime event that inspired the novel, it only happens right in the first chapter. It's just the true crime event inspires like the backstory of our main character, and then the whole story takes off from there. So, if you asked me what's this book about, and I was going to try and entice you to read it, I would talk about that event. So I really don't consider it a spoiler at all, but that's just my opinion. So we'll take it from there. So, like I said, based on a true crime story that has actually a historical significance. We'll get to that in just a moment. I'll tell you all about it. Okay. So there was a real-life ball player, as you see in the thumbnail video, a newspaper clipping, Eddie Wakus. Eddie Wakus, actually he also inspired the name of this novel, because when he was a young up-and-coming player, there was an article written about him, and the writer called Eddie Wakus the Natural, because he was such a gifted player. So Eddie Wakus, we're going back to like the late 30s, 1940s here. So Eddie Wakus, he's a star player for the Chicago Cubs. Serves in World War II, comes back, resumes his career, and he gets traded to Philadelphia. And then when the Philadelphia Phillies are visiting Chicago, he's in the hotel, and he gets like this strange note from a woman. Like in the hotel, she said, this I don't normally do this, but I have something that you may want to hear, like it's very urgent matter, that type of thing. So he goes to the clerk at the hotel desk, and he asks him who's the woman who left this note? And the clerk tells him the name of the woman, and Eddie thinks, I don't know that woman, but he recognized the last name. It was like his friend and mentor. So he's like, oh, I don't know her, but the last name, maybe they're related. So he goes up to the hotel room, and surprise, there's a young woman there under a false name. Turns out, but like I said, one thing to point out too, that name, the friend and mentor, that wasn't an accident. She had done her research and chose that name to lure him up to the room. And when Eddie Wakus gets up in the room, it turns out this girl was a crazed stalker, and she actually shot Eddie right in the hotel room. And Eddie survived. He would go on to have a really nice playing career. And let's see, what was I gonna say? So yeah, this young girl, she did her research, used a fake name, lured him up to the hotel room because she was obsessed with him. So she brought him to the room and shot him. And so that's like it mentioned, the historical significance. This would actually this case of this young woman luring the ball player, this would be the FBI's first documented case of a celebrity stalker. Hell of a backstory, isn't it? And that brings us to the story itself. With that little backstory was used for the main character in this novel, Roy Hobbs. I should mention too, this might be kind of jumpy, but there's a lot of jumping around because there's a lot of little different things about this story that I have to get out. Number one, when like I said, this is my first time reading the story, but I'd seen the movie when I was a teenager. Always liked it. Thought it was a bit over dramatic, a little corny at times, but I remember watching like behind the scenes making of documentary, and the film director said something that completely flipped my view on the whole story. He said that the story of The Natural is a fairy tale, and I'll explain more about that in a second to clarify it. But as soon as he said, yeah, The Natural is a fairy tale, like my whole view on the story completely changed, and I went from thinking, yeah, it was okay but corny, to just like, I got it. I was looking at this through the correct set of eyes, and I absolutely loved it. So the story starts off, Roy Hobbs. He's this young, innocent kid. Probably, they never actually say his age, but you figure he's like 18, 19 years old probably. And so he's on a train with his friend. The friend's like a pro baseball scout and mentor. They're on a train going to the Midwest because young Roy Hobbs has a tryout for the Chicago Cubs. There you go, that connection there. And while they're there, the train makes a stop, and they get off the train, and there's like these couple players playing baseball in the field. One of them is like, they call it the Whammer. It's like the biggest ball player of his time. Now, of course, the Whammer is fictional, but I think it's safe to say he's based on Babe Ruth, like the famous baseball player. And it's like Roy's friend, mentor of the scout, he makes a bet, like, I bet my boy can strike out the Whammer on 3 pitches. Sure enough, Roy, he does such thing. He strikes out the Whammer. Nobody can believe this. And this woman who was hanging by the Whammer's side, because he's like this big baseball player, she kind of moves driftily over to this new young man who just outplayed the Whammer. And based on the backstory to the story, you can see where that's going, the true crime part that I just mentioned. And so yeah, Roy's lured up to the room. The woman shoots him, and then it just stops. That's the first chapter. Then the story picks up years later. Roy is now 34. He's got a case that's like a bassoon case. He carries an instrument. He shows up with this case, and inside the case is his baseball bat. And like, he's like 34 years old, and he's like, we don't know where he's been all these years, but needless to say, he's been really affected by being shot by this woman. And like, this is it. Like, he wants to have one shot at greatness. As being the natural player he was, like, he wants to have another go at immortality, you might want to say. Here's where the fairy tale part comes in. So Roy, he's in batting practice. He's like hitting home runs out of the park. Like, he's like this incredible player. Nobody can believe it. Like, this old man, he's like 34 years old, but he's an old baseball player then. They can't believe it. And like, when they start looking at his bat, like, they want to know, what's the story with your bat? He says, like, when he was a young boy, a lightning bolt struck a tree, split the tree in half, and a young Roy, as a child, carved a baseball bat out of the wood. And he named the bat Wonder Boy, and he like branded the name Wonder Boy in the bat. So that's it. It's like, it's where the fairy tale element comes in. So he has this baseball bat, and he all of a sudden has like these like incredible gifts. And so he has like this incredible talent, cut short by like the stalker. And then he comes back at 34 to try and reclaim what he lost with his good old Wonder Boy in hand. One thing I have to mention too about this fairy tale here, like I said, I think it's safe to say, like generations of kids, like, we're used to like the Disney fairy tales, where everything works out in the end, the happily ever after, all that stuff. Then there's like the real fairy tales that those stories are based on, like the Grimm fairy tales, which are really messed up. This definitely leans more towards like not the Disney fairy tales, like the actual fairy tales. It's like Roy, he has like these gifts, he kind of squanders it, like loses his. It's like Wonder Boy's almost letting him down a little bit, and he's got to get his life back together, and so we can start playing well. And like a lot of fairy tales, this is a real, unlike the movie too, this is a really cautionary tale. Like, kind of like, don't squander what you got. And so yeah, like I said, good old-fashioned messed up fairy tale. And I think we'll leave it at that there, folks. And when it comes to comparing this to the movie, the big question people always ask, oh, what do you like better, the book or the movie? Both were so different. I loved them both. Like, one's a cautionary tale, the other's more of an uplifting story. Both were wonderful, and I highly recommend both. And a little note too, if you ever do catch the movie, there's actually two versions, like the theatrical release and the director's cut. It is most of the time, like the director's cut, like all they did was just add in some deleted scenes, and the movie's 10 minutes longer. So it doesn't really make much of a difference. But in this case, the director's cut, it's like edited completely differently, and it really affects the storytelling. So if you ever do get around to seeing the movie, I mean, like the theatrical version's, of course, amazing. But like if you ever find the director's cut, I highly recommend that one. I'd say maybe start up with that one. I'll leave it there, folks. For a sign up, in case you're wondering what the hell is he wearing. This is the baseball team out of Virginia. It's called the Tri-City Chili Peppers. What it is, they're like a semi-pro league. They exist mainly for like college players. They play in the summertime. They get some more playing time. They're part of a great movement. There goes Chili Peppers. Almost looks like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air font going on in there. I think the Chili Peppers are a part of too. It's all about grassroots baseball, like the fun of the game. So they play what they call cosmic baseball. They wear jerseys like this. They glow in the dark. So when they play the games at night, they turn up the lights, the jerseys, the equipment, the lines on the field, everything glows in the dark. It's called cosmic baseball. They're actually taking this act, if you will, on the road. They're playing. Recently, they actually played some minor league teams who are affiliated with Major League Baseball. A little fun promotion. It's part of a wonderful little trend going on now with like grassroots baseball. And the best part about these teams because they're fan first, they broadcast these games for free on YouTube. So if I find a clip or two, just so you can see like a trailer of what cosmic baseball looks like, I'll put it in the description box down below. And yeah, go and follow these guys on YouTube. Next time they're playing a cosmic baseball game, you can watch it live for free. Because like I said, the point of these grassroots is fans first, excuse me. All right. Anyway, folks, I'm gonna finish down my apple cider donut coffee, and I shall, let's see, I do have a couple more books too. I just finished one for another book that's summer sport related. Got another one I'll finish shortly too. Look forward. So you can probably look forward to like 2 or 3 more reviews to finish off the summer. And spoiler, they're all baseball related. It was a baseball heavy summer. Okay. As like Brad Pitt said in the movie Moneyball, like how can you not be romantic about baseball? Okay. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your summer.